All right, let's talk about something that feels straight out of science fiction, but is very much real. Wearable robots. We're going to dive into how these incredible devices are giving us a helping hand, quite literally, and augmenting what our bodies can do.
So, here's what we've got on tap. We'll kick things off with why we even need this stuff. Then we'll get into what exactly an exoskeleton is, how it works its magic, and where you can find them out in the real world. After that, we'll look at how we know if they're any good, and wrap up by peeking into the future of these wearable robots. So, let's start with the big question. Why? Why do we even need exoskeletons? Well, it really boils down to the fact that our bodies, as amazing as they are, have their limits.
I mean, think about it. Our bodies can only take so much, right? Whether it's the daily grind of a physically demanding job or the tough, long road back from a serious injury, these are very real challenges we all face. And they aren't just personal struggles. They have a huge impact on everyone.
And get this, nearly 2/3 of employees in the EU are lifting or moving heavy stuff on the job. That's a massive number. All that strain adds up, leading to what are called musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs. And these aren't just minor aches. They're the #1 work-related health issue out there, costing a fortune in medical bills and lost work time. It's a huge problem. Okay, so that brings us to a really cool potential solution. And it's not about replacing people, but giving them a powerful partner, the exoskeleton.
So what is it? Put simply, it's a robot you can wear. It's like an external skeleton that works with your muscles and bones, giving you extra support and strength. It moves when you move, making things easier, or in some cases, making movement possible again. Now, this is a super important point to get right because people mix this up all the time. An exoskeleton is a collaborator. It assists a limb you already have. A prosthetic is a replacement. It takes the place of a limb that's missing. One helps, the other replaces. Big difference.
And they're not all the same either. You've got a few main flavors. You have passive ones, which are all mechanical, no motors, no batteries, just clever springs that store and release energy to help you out. Then you've got the active ones. These are the real-deal powered robots with motors and hydraulics. And then there's this new, really cool category, soft exosuits. They look more like futuristic clothes and use lightweight cables to give you a boost without all the bulk.
Okay, so for the powered ones, how in the world do they know what you're trying to do? How does it know when to help? This is where things get really fascinating. It's like a dance between human and machine.
It all boils down to this super fast 3-step loop. Sense, decide, act. It's constantly happening hundreds of times a second. The suit senses what you want to do, its little brain decides how to help, and then, boom, the motors act to give you that support, all in the blink of an eye. So for that sense part, the Exo has these electronic nerves. You've got EMG sensors that you stick on your skin, and they literally listen to the tiny electrical signals your brain sends to your muscles. It's like the robot is reading your mind, knowing you're about to move before you even do. And then you have IMUs. Those are the same little motion sensors in your phone that track exactly where your arm or leg is and how it's moving. All right, next up is decide. The Exo's little computer brain takes all that sensor data and figures out what to do. And the main goal here is something called impedance control. That's a fancy way of saying it's not just about being a powerful, rigid robot. It's about being a good dance partner, knowing when to lead, when to follow, and making the whole thing feel natural and smooth, not like you're fighting with a machine. So, that's the how. Now, let's talk about the where. Where are we actually seeing these things making a difference in the world?
Right now, it's really two major fields. First, in industry. Think factories, construction sites, warehouses. Here, they're kind of like super-powered safety gear protecting workers' bodies from all that strain. And then you have rehabilitation, where they're becoming these incredible partners in helping people learn to walk again or use their arms after a stroke or a major injury. And in those industrial settings, it's not just about making the day a little easier. This quote really hits the nail on the head. The big goal is to cut down on those workplace injuries. That has a massive ripple effect. It's great for the workers' health, obviously, but it also saves companies a ton of money. It's a win-win. And in the clinic, oh, this is a game changer. The technology is smart enough to provide what's called assistance as needed. That means if you can do 70% of a movement on your own, the robot only provides the other 30%. This is huge for helping the brain relearn and build new pathways. Plus, a therapist can get a patient to do hundreds of perfect repetitions, something that would be physically impossible to do by hand. Okay, this all sounds great, but how do we actually know if they're working? How do we grade them? What does an A+ on an exoskeleton's report card even look like?
Well, researchers look at it from two angles.
You've got the hard data, the objective stuff. They'll measure muscle activity, how much oxygen you're using, the forces on your body, all the numbers. But then there's the other side of the coin, which is just as important, the subjective side. They ask the user directly, how did that feel? Was it a pain to use? Was it comfortable? Because if the user hates it, the numbers don't matter. So, on the data side, one of the biggest things they look for is a drop in muscle activity. You can see it right here. For back support exos, studies show they can cut down on the work your lower back muscles have to do by anywhere from 10 to over 35%. That's cold, hard proof that the device is actually doing its job and taking on some of that load. And on the how does it feel side, they use standardized tests like the system usability scale. Basically, anything over 68 is pretty good. This one rehab robot, the ExoFlex, scored over an 80. That's in the excellent range. So it tells us not just that the tech works, but that the people using it actually liked it and found it easy to work with. That's a huge win. So, what's next? Where do we go from here? Let's take a look at the future.
You know, the biggest hurdles left aren't just about making the tech better. They're about making it more human. I mean, you can have the most advanced robot in the world, but if it's too heavy, or it gets hot, or it digs into your shoulders, nobody's going to want to wear it. It's got to be comfy, it's got to be practical, and it can't get in the way of everything else you need to do.
And this quote really sums it up. For exoskeletons to become truly mainstream, especially in the workplace, companies need to see the proof. They need clear evidence that these things are effective. That means we need more big studies out in the real world showing that they really do prevent injuries and are worth the investment.
So, that leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. As these wearable robots get smarter, lighter, and more connected to our own bodies, where does that line between human and machine even begin? It really makes you think about what it means to be human and how technology might change that in the years to come.